We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. John 5:39 says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. He said, I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you shall receive. How can ye believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that come from Elohim only? Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 3. You know, that's the biggest thing. As long as we just sit back and look for the honor that comes from Elohim only, we'll be all right. The minute we worry about other niggas, it's the minute we got a problem. And that's the biggest problem that's amongst our people, is we seek and honor one from another. That's what got the scribes in trouble. They wanted that honor from men. Don't need that honor from men. Don't need none of that. You can't do nothing with that. I promise you, you can't. Don't let nobody tell you no lies when it comes to that. You can't do nothing with that. All right, Proverbs 16 and 3. Commit thy works unto Yahuwah, and thy thoughts shall be established. We'll just reiterate what a couple of them words is, and then we'll just move right along in an expeditious fashion. When you look at that word commit, it's just simply galal, and that's to roll away, or to roll oneself, or to be rolled, or to flow down, or to trust, or to commit, but mainly to roll down or roll away or roll together. So keep that in mind. And then when we look at works, you know, that's ma'asa, and that's just your deeds or your works, your product, your labor, your business. Get to your thoughts, and that's maxava, and that's your purpose, or the invention or the imagination of your thoughts. And then to be established is the kun, and that's to be firm. So I want y'all to come and look at something in Proverbs chapter 6 and verse about 17. Since it's in that direction. About 6 and 16. Proverbs 6 and 16. And it says, these 6 things doth Yahuwah hate, yea, 7 are abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, and a heart that devise wicked imaginations. And I'm going to tell you something, like that particular thing right there, you could see why he would hate that. Because you're saying that you got a mind that likes to come up and devise wicked intentions. This is what he has a problem with. It's the same word that we just looked at for thoughts. That's the word for imaginations. You got wicked devices and thoughts in your mind, and that's never good. If you're committing, so the reason we sit back and look at that, what it is, Psalms 80. Let me see what it is in Psalms 80. It might not be Psalms 80 though. Let me make sure. I'm looking at Psalms 80. It is not. It is Psalms 81 though. Praise the Lamb. Psalms 81 and verse 8. Because we got to try to look at both sides of the coin before we look at these individuals to start. So you got to realize that you have to roll away your labor together. You got to look at who are you rolling your labor away with, and that's going to pertain to something that we touched briefly on Shabbat. And I guess I'll go ahead and run it in right now. So nevertheless, he say, hear, O my people, and I will testify unto thee, O Yasharal, if thou wilt hearken unto me. There shall no strange God be in thee, neither shall thou worship any strange God. I am Yahuwah thy Elohim, which brought thee out of the land of Mizraim. Open thy mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Yasharal would none of me. So I gave them up to their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Yasharal had walked in my ways. So he's looking at the fact that we like to devise wicked imaginations. So because we like to devise wicked imaginations, he gave you over to your own heart's lust and your own counsels. That word counsel It's mo'atza, and it's simply your counsel, your plan, your device, your thoughts, your imaginations, the things that you come up with your own mind that are outside of his will. He said, you know what? I'll give you up to that because you want to walk after your own lust. And that word for lust in this particular verse is stubbornness, hardness, and firmness, and that is sharuth. So this is what he's sitting back looking at when he say he give, because we dealt with that a while back, that there's different words for lust, and it's not always necessarily desire. So in this instance, he say he gave you up to your own stubbornness. You wanted, since this is what you wanted to do, and we know that 1 Samuel 15:23 say to be stubborn is idolatry. Well, I'm sorry, it's idolatry, and iniquity is lawlessness. Let's look at that just for reference sake, so you can see that. 1 Samuel 15:23, just for the point of what we talking about. So he basically give you up to allow you to serve another God. And that's a good point that we actually looked at these words to see that, because that's what we're going to see with these kings of Yasharal in Kings, because they wanted to serve other gods. He gave them up to the devices, their imaginations, or the thoughts that they wanted to do. And their God was the God of their own belly. You want to do what you wanted to do, so that's what he gave you to. 1 Samuel 15:23. For rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry, because thou hast rejected the word of Yahuwah. He has also rejected thee from being king. So take this into account, and just bear with me as we write this here right, because I was thinking about this earlier today. Now he just said that Saul had been rejected from being king because he was stubborn. Why was Saul stubborn? Because Saul wanted to go after the desire of his own heart. What was in his mind? What did Saul was more concerned with? Receiving honor from the people. Because he said it was the people why he didn't do what Yah told him to do. He blamed the people for it. You know what I'm saying? It was them. They took the best of the stuff, but you had been given the instruction, and in reality, this is what you wanted to do. You wanted the sheep, you wanted the oxen, you wanted the best of everything, and this is what you did, and that's why you did it. So let's look at something in Revelation chapter 5. I gotta try to tie it all. It's 8 o'clock. I got to get on my horse. Can't y'all willing? We won't be going off to having any conversation about nothing. Just keep it on straight to the point. Revelation chapter 5, I want to say, pick it up get you about verse 6, y'all. Revelation about 5 and 6. So I want you to keep in mind how dangerous of a thing that is. How dangerous that is. Because going after your own heart, going for your own lust is going to come up to show that you're not retaining the word and your knowledge. And because you're not doing that, he's going to give you up to the things that you are stubbornly doing. Because remember now, if you're being stubborn, that means you're being told that is wrong and you're doing it anyway. You know what I'm saying? See, being rebellious is just, what's right, but I'm just going to go against it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to do what I want to do regardless. Being stubborn is you've been reproved, you've been corrected, you've been told, and you buck. You could look at them as one and the same, because you just got some rebellious people. If you tell somebody, hey, don't cross the street, and they go cross the street, they just being rebellious because they're just going to go do what it is that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? When you look at somebody being stubborn, that's somebody you've been warned, you've been told, and you chose to go do what you want to do anyway. And both of them are not good. You know what I'm saying? Neither one of them are good. It would be better for you to obey. Matter of fact, it would be better for you not to have even known than to know and be rebellious or stubborn. You know what I'm saying? That's how so many people got, because we want to know stuff so bad, and then you find out about it, and then you'll be with no excuse. Even though nobody will be with any excuse. You don't want to be caught out here asking for stuff, and then that's not what you want. Because you'll be told we already be knowing if that's what we want anyway. Sometimes, that's this old saying people say, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Got to be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Revelation 5 and 6, and it says, and I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders stood a lamb, as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 ruachs of Elohim, sent forth into all their wraths. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the Kadeshim, and sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to Elohim by thy blood out of every kindred, tongue, people, and nation, and hast made us unto our Elohim Malaks and Kohen, or kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. So if this man's blood has made you a king, and we talked about the other day about nobody taking your crown, you know what I'm saying? That you got to protect the crown. Remember, Nebuchadnezzar means protect the crown. Nebo protects the crown. So when you are stubborn, or you are idolatrous, or you rebellious, and you're a witch, which we know he can't suffer a witch to live, and he can't give that which is set apart unto dogs, then we begin to understand that Yah will reject you like he rejected Saul, and he will reject you from being a king when you are stubborn and you are rebellious. And that's not good. That's what happened. Remember, let's look in the law. Hold on. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
So let's look at Exodus 19. And I'm going to show you an example of what we're talking about. Because he said he gave you up to your own desires, and if you would have listened. Because since the people did not commit their actions to Yah, he established their thoughts to do what it is that they wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? Now we're just looking at one instance in the law where he states that we are kings, or that we're a kingdom, which means, oh, I don't have. Okay, yeah, I do. I can't believe that book fell out. I probably should have checked that before I left the house. Exodus chapter 19. We'll pick it up at verse 1. It ain't gonna hurt that. And this is why you see all these kings of Yasharal getting rejected. As forth as him killing them and, setting somebody up to replace them, and why his wrath was kindled so much, because these men's works were not committed to him. So therefore their thoughts could not be established to him. And therefore he would have no other choice but to reject them. So when you look, as you got to take into account that in 1 Samuel 15:23, he is talking to Saul. This is Samuel by the mouth of Yah telling Saul, if you are a rebel, then you are a witch. And if you stubborn, you are lawless and you're an idolater. Meaning you your own God. That's how dangerous being stubborn is. You your own God. You serve your own belly. Paul already told you that. Your God is your belly. You mind earthly things. When you do what you want to do, and you hear the man's word, and you choose to do what you want to do regardless of any warnings, admonition, or teachings, you have become your own God, and you ain't doing nothing but what Jeroboam the son of Nebat did, and that's put the name of Yah on a golden calf and act like you serving Yah when you serving yourself the whole time. And he will allow you to believe that you are doing his will in the process of you doing this. Because he let Saul thought that he was pleasing him. All the way up to Saul telling him, I have done his will. He let him believe that. He let these men believe that that he was pleased with them. Though deep down inside, those men knew what they were doing and how wicked it was. They didn't care though. Nevertheless, Exodus 19:1. In the 3rd month, when the children of Yasharal were gone forth out of the land of Mizraim, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Yasharal camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto Elohim, and Yahuwah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say unto the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yasharal, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests, and a Kadesh nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yasharal. He let you know you be a kingdom of priests. You have nothing but kings and priests ruling. But what did we choose to do? We chose, after receiving the law, receiving the word, to do this here. Deuteronomy 32. This is what we chose to do. And the reason why we just taking this direction of looking at this here is to deal with the Psalms 81, when he said, I gave them over to their own heart's desires to see what their end was going to be. I let them do that just to see what was going to be their end. I let them walk in their own counsels and their own thoughts. And we can see why he finds wicked imaginations to be an abomination. You can see why he has a problem with people that devise thoughts that go against his will. He has a problem with that. Because the master already told you, it's not that defiles a man which goes into his mouth, but what comes out, because what comes out is of the heart. So the things that are coming out of you are the things that you ponder upon, and these are the wicked imaginations that you are devising. Revelation 21:27 tell you nothing abominable will enter in through the gates of the city. So you have to learn to bring all your thoughts into subjection in the captivity of Mashiach, which is going back to roll away. And we got to look at what that means to roll it away. Because if you're going to roll it away, you ain't got no business. Then these thoughts will be established, which means you have to purge out the thoughts of sin and all the iniquity that's in your brain, or your thoughts can never be established. Deuteronomy 32:20. 17, actually, make it about 15. 15 is better. He say, but Yesharon wax fat and kick, thou art waxed fat, thou art grown thick, thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook Elohim, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods, and with abominations provoked they him to anger. Remember, he said, you provoking him to anger with your abominations. What is your abomination? Devising wicked imaginations. That's what we just focus on. Wicked thoughts. Because these wicked thoughts are dictating wicked actions. We change the thoughts, you can change the action. The book says, a man thinketh, so is he. If you think like a sinner, you will act like a sinner. If you think like Elohim, you will act like Elohim. Because if you commit your works to him, he will establish your thoughts to him. If you commit your works to the flesh, he will establish your thoughts to the flesh. So if you don't want that to happen, then you have to focus your thoughts on the word, and quite naturally your works should be. But I'm not talking about focusing on just thinking about it. I'm talking about laying it to heart, considering, moving, and doing. Because if we don't move and do, then you just thinking upon, he's not going to allow you to retain it in your brain. He said you got to give more earnest heed to the things that you have heard, lest they slip. You have to shamar, you have to hear with the intent to do. If you're not listening with the intent to do it, it doesn't matter who preaches it. It doesn't matter what you read. It doesn't matter what you understand. It doesn't matter what wisdom you feel you done got. It don't matter how much knowledge you feel you done heard. If you're not listening with the intent to actually apply it and do it, he will not allow you to keep it, and you will continue to walk in the same pattern of behavior that you always walk, and you'll find yourself in hell. And why would you go to hell? Why would you die? What is that important? That's why we've been telling you lately, man, no matter what it is you got going on, don't try to get a band-aid as forth as things that'll be detrimental to your sin. Like I said, like my man said in the song, you can't heal what you don't reveal. If you have not let that and laid that on the table, then you can't heal it. If you got a problem with lust, getting married ain't gonna fix it. If you got a problem with telling lies, you know what I'm saying? If you got a problem with being angry, then you got to figure out why it is you're untruthful. You got to figure out, why are you mad? What happened to you to cause you to be mad? You know what I'm saying? You figure that out, you can fix it. You know what I'm saying? Just sit back and be like, oh, I'm just going to avoid people when I get angry. It's not going to help the fact that why you're mad. Because some instances, okay, you avoid people when you're angry because you just need to calm down. But if you feel like you're mad at something, you've got an attitude problem, you're always angry. It's something that you're angry about that occurred to you. You don't figure out what that is, you're going to get in a situation where your anger could explode. You might take somebody's life. That may have not been your intent to take somebody's life, but now you're sitting in prison for the rest of your life because you didn't deal with why you were angry. Or you might hurt the people that's close to you because you take your anger out on them. You know what I'm saying? And they ain't really did nothing, and what you're angry about really doesn't have anything to do with you. If you're fearful, you need to figure out, why are you fearful? If you're worrisome, you have to figure out where that's at so you can get rid of it. Because these things will affect you when it comes to serving Elohim, when you put in situations where he got to prove your heart out. Because then you're going to project those same feelings into situations that you did with Elohim, and you're going to fail. And you don't want to fail with him, because failing with him could lead you to hell. And then lead you to the lake where the worm dies not and the fire shall not be quenched. And that's what we, like the book says, we're persuaded of better things of you, the thing pertaining to salvation, thus we speak. So we looking to be saved. If you're looking to be saved, this is what the purpose of confessing sins and rolling all this stuff away is, and being a new creature. You relinquish all the stuff, the weight that easily besets you, you set it to the side. You can't float and be light when you holding all these bricks in your back pocket. Nevertheless, what verse I need? There we go, verse 17. They sacrificed unto devils, not to Elohim, to gods whom they knew not, to new gods that came newly up, who your fathers feared not. Of that rock that begat thee, thou art unmindful, and hast forgotten Elohim that formed thee. And when Yahuwah saw it, he abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and of his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them, and I will see what their end shall be. For they are very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. You see, he said he'll leave you to your own devices because this is where your mind is at. If this is where your mind is at, this is where he's going to leave you at. Let's take this Joshua chapter 5, crank it up a notch, 8:21. Deal with the rollaway and then get to some examples of some of these kings. Because if we don't do that, then we didn't do what we were supposed to do today. And that would suck greatly. Joshua chapter 5. Joshua chapter 5 and verse 2. So we have to understand that. And you notice the thing when he sat back and he looked at in Deuteronomy 32. It was idolatry that they were doing. And remember, idolatry and lawlessness are one and the same. And it comes down to you have become your own God. You do your own will. You serve your own will. You do your own way. You do your own thing. And you put in Yah's name on it like our ancestors did. And we cannot do that and expect to receive a full reward. To expect to keep your crown. To expect to become a king. You're going to be rejected from being king like Saul was. Because you heard the instruction of Yahuwah. And you sought to do what you want to do to the pleasing of yourself and for the honor of men. Because a lot of people do things to be honored of men. You know what I'm saying? They need that validation from other people. You know, hey, look at I'll tell you something, right? Everybody likes to be told they're doing a good job. No matter what it is that they're doing. That's understandable. Everybody wants to know that their efforts are being recognized and appreciated. There's a difference from that. There's a difference from that and wanting honor and praise from men. And you have to sit back and really ponder on it. I ain't going to go into no great detail. Just sit back and think in your own mind. Can you understand what is the difference of saying, hey, man, you're doing a good job. I see you, man. Good job. Versus you want people to see you. You want men to tell you how great you are. So your self-esteem and your confidence can be reassured because men are honoring you versus Elohim honoring you. Because there's a difference. It says, at that time, Yahuwah said unto Yahushua, make thee sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Yasharal the second time. And Yahushua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Yasharal at the hill of the foreskins. This is the cause why Yahushua did circumcise all the people that came out of Mizraim that were males. Even all the men of war died in the wilderness, by the way, after they came out of Mizraim. Now all the people that were... all the people that came out were circumcised. And all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way, as came forth out of Mizraim, they had not circumcised. For the children of Yasharal had walked 40 years in the wilderness. To all the people that were men of war, which came out of Mizraim, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of Yahuwah, unto whom Yahuwah sware that he would not show them the land, which Yahuwah sware unto their fathers, and that he would give us a land that flowed with milk and honey. And their children whom he raised up in their stead, them Yahushua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, they abode in their places in the camp till they were whole. And Yahushua said, then Yahuwah said unto Yahushua, this day have I rolled away the reproach of Mizraim from off you. Wherefore the name of Yahuwah is called Gilgal unto this day. These people, these young men who got circumcised the second time, are representative of the rolling away of the thoughts. So there are works to be established, the rolling away of your labor. There was an instance of someone that I am rolling away what you did in Egypt. So your ancestors could not roll away what they did in Egypt. They cleaved to it. They cleave to the idolatry, they cleave to the ways, they cleave to the thoughts, they cleave to the world, to their own perishing. This is why books say if you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of Elohim. Because many of your ancestors were friends of the world. They were friends of the Moabites and the Ammonites and the Egyptians and the Canaanites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and they became Yah's enemies because of it. This is why you have to bring every thought in subjection to Mashiach, into his captivity to Mashiach, so that you don't become his enemy. And this also shows that these thoughts have been rolled away. Let's look at that in Romans chapter 6. Because y'all know we done dealt with that before, with the rolling away of the stone at the grave. And that's showing you the circumcision of the heart. You say if the sprinkling of a heifer sanctified to the unclean, how much more should the blood of Mashiach, who offered himself through the eternal Ruach, spotless unto Elohim, purge your conscience from dead works. So if you say you've been immersed in Mashiach and you in him and he is in you, then these things ought to be rolled away. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, the rolling away or the tossing away or the removing of works that are not pleasing in his eyesight. Therefore, he can establish you to do his will. If you remain with the same thought process and you don't allow this man to roll away these iniquities or to circumcise your heart, basically, you know what I'm saying? Then your thoughts are going to be continually going in the pattern that they were going, which is death. Romans 6, and I'll probably say by verse 4. What you talking about, little Tubby? They moved. Romans 6 and 4. We'll make it 3. It says, know ye not that so many of us were immersed into Yahushua HaMashiach, were immersed into his death? Therefore we are buried with him by immersion into death, that is like as Mashiach was raised up from the dead by the esteem of the Father, even we should also walk in newness of life. And you got to look at this here. When he was risen from the dead, they rolled the stone away for him to depart from death, for him to leave that grave. You coming out of the water is the same as that grave being rolled back, or Yahushua son of Nun circumcising you the second time, rolling away the reproach of Misraim off of you. He said, he that commits sin is the servant of sin. If the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Your forefathers were still in bondage spiritually and mentally to the place that they left from. I was just talking to somebody about this. I forgot who that was I was talking to. Oh yeah, my brother in Alabama. And you look at a scenario like this. All our ancestors knew was Egypt. They didn't know Yah. They didn't know anything about him. And what we were talking about is something we've discussed in the past, is that they were saved by faith. They weren't saved by the law. They had gotten no law at all coming out of Misraim. Now the thing what's hindering our people now in these days and times is you're being preached the law and you're being preached that you're an Israelite. And these things do not produce freedom. Do you know what I'm saying? So therefore, because Yahushua HaMashiach is not being preached to the people, then the people can't believe and therefore have the reproach of Egypt removed from them by faith. Because the reproach of Egypt was removed off of them by faith. All they did to hear the word and believed it, and they were delivered from that. But after the process of hearing the word and believing it, to put the blood on the doorpost, when he tried them in their time of temptations, they faltered because their hearts were not really set. They really still had a strong desire for what they left from. They had not become a new creature. Now it's no different in America. All you know is America. It wouldn't matter if you lived in Europe or you lived in India, or if you lived in Asia, or if you lived in the so-called Middle East, or you lived in Africa, or South and Central America. The only culture you would know would be the culture that you dwell in. So this is what you're going to identify with. So when it comes time for you to actually hear of your Elohim, you may resist because you don't know him. You know what I'm saying? Now, we're not justifying our ancestors' actions, but sit back and think about the framework of how they were moving. They didn't know Yah. They didn't know anything about him. They didn't know anything that he was about. And one thing I can say is a lot of times when people get older, they're set in their ways. And they don't want to change. You know what I'm saying? We were mentioning this here because that's what the brother was talking about. Because we were talking about R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, Hugh Hefner too. Both of them perverts. You know what I'm saying? Very, very much so. But he was talking about how a lot of Hebrew men choose younger women for the aspect of they feel like they have a better chance to get that woman to walk in the word versus an older woman, because he said most of them brothers, because he said a lot of brothers in his congregation are older. He said a lot of them feel like them women are set in their ways, and therefore they don't want to actually walk in it. Well, for me, I don't really think it's necessarily an age thing. If you want to do it, you want to do it. It don't matter how old you are. You know what I'm saying? But I do understand that because I've seen that on natural things. People set in their ways, they don't want to change. You know what I'm saying? Your ancestors coming up out of Egypt, they were comfortable in the way that they had been in for a period of time. They didn't want to change that. You know, we got cucumbers, leeks, and melons. We didn't have no trouble. You know what I'm saying? Even though they did have trouble. See, we sit back and look at he delivering you from sin, and you forget all the trouble you had while you were in your sins. And then when you hear a little bit about Yah, and you learn a little something, a little persecution or tribulation come up because of the word, and you forget about all the trouble that you had before you actually knew the word, and now you looking at that and you complaining instead of enduring and overcoming, because you done conveniently thought about all the suffering you did for unrighteousness' sake versus standing firm for righteousness' sake. That's how our minds work, because a lot of times we're just ungrateful. Nevertheless, look at Romans 6 and what it is. Verse 5. He say, for if we had been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall also be in the likeness of his resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man is crucified with him, that the body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we should not serve sin. For he that is dead is free from sin. Now if we be dead with Mashiach, we believe also that we should live with him. Knowing that Mashiach being raised from the dead died no more, death have no more dominion over him. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he lived unto Elohim. Likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach our Master. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal bodies, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Now why would you not obey it? You would not obey it because you rolled away those works. You rolled the sin away. You tossed it away. Like he said in Isaiah, you treat it like a menstruous cloth and said, get thee hence. That's how you're going to look at it. That's how you're going to judge it. That's how you're going to move it. You're going to cast it away from you. And when you cast it away from you, your thoughts can be established. Let's look at somebody, one of the kings of Yehuda that cast away sin, and then therefore his thoughts were established. Look at it, 1 Kings chapter 15. Because it's 8:32, man. 8:32. 1 Kings chapter 15. That is correct. Our ancestors coming up out of Mizraim, they didn't know about it. They didn't know him. Matter of fact, I'll show you what I mean when I say that. Let's look at Exodus chapter 3. Well, Exodus 2 first. You have to remember we'll look at Exodus chapter 1. There was a long gap between them and Joseph and Israel dying. So they had no idea about who they really were. They didn't know they Elohim. They hadn't been taught of it. Exodus chapter 1 and 1. Say, now these are the names of the children of Yasharah which came into Mizraim. Every man in his household came with Jacob. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already. Joseph died, and all his brethren and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there fall out any war, they join also to their enemies and fight against us, so to get them up out of the land. Now this long period of time has come past. Now we're going to drop down to chapter 2. Because remember what it means to know Yah. Now when we look at 2 and 23, look at what it says of what the people did. Say it came to pass in the process of time that the Malach of Mizraim died, and the children of Yasharal sighed by the reason of their bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim by reason of bondage. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. And Elohim looked upon the children of Yasharal, and Elohim had respect unto them. Now they're groaning and sighing and crying unto Elohim, but they're not crying to him, because they don't even know to cry unto him. Now let's look at Exodus chapter 3, and let's look at a statement that Moses makes when Yah goes descending. 3 and 11. It says, Moses said unto Elohim, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Yasharal out of Mizraim? He said, certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be the token unto thee, that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Mizraim, ye shall serve Elohim upon his mountain. And Moses said unto Elohim, behold, when I come unto the children of Yasharal, and shall say unto them, the Elohim of your fathers have sent me unto you, they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? Elohim said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thou shalt say unto the children of Yasharal, I am have sent me unto you. And Elohim said moreover unto Moses, Thou shalt say unto the children of Yasharal, Yahuwah, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Elohim of Isaac, and Elohim of Jacob, have sent me unto you, and this is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. So when you see that Moses is making a statement, he said, What shall I tell them what their name is? They did not know who he was. Therefore, they didn't have the ability to call on him. Therefore, they didn't even know his ways, his statutes, his commandments, or any of these things. Remember, 1 John chapter 2 says, anyone who says they know him and keep not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. That's why the Master said in John chapter 8, he said, I know him. He said, if I was to say I know him not, I'd be a lie. He said, if I say I knew him not, my apologies. He said, I'd be a liar like unto you. That's John 8:54. Our forefathers coming up out of Mizraim, they didn't even know his name. They didn't know anything about him because they were that far removed away from the men who could have told them about him. Because generation upon generation had to pass from the time Joseph died and Judah died and all of these things, and they assimilated into Egyptian culture. Therefore, anything that pertained to YAH, they had no idea about it. They were pining away in Mizraim, and they didn't know anything about the Elohim to call on in the first place. When they were groaning and sighing because of the bondage, they didn't even call on the Elohim. They just were doing just like we doing now, crying. But yet our Elohim looking upon us, he heard the cries and had mercy on us because of his own mercy, because he said he remembered the covenant, not because we were calling on him. We didn't know who to call. What were we going for that? 1 Kings chapter 15. Might be 14. But I appreciate the question to make that clear so you can see that that was not a problem. Because that probably did need to be explained a little bit more thoroughly. You what? Make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, 1 Kings 15 and 8. And that's why I said that we're in the same spot that we're in right now here in America. We don't know nothing about y'all. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the brothers had the attitude that they had. We on the street corners waking people up. We waking people up. You know what I'm saying? You know you're an Israelite because of us. And that's not what you need. You need to know your Elohim. You need to know his ways. You need to know his righteousness. You need to know these things. Knowing you're an Israelite is nothing. 1 Kings, 15 and 8. And Abijam slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead. And in the 20th year of Jeroboam, Malach of Yasharal, reigned Asa over Yehudah. And 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Maacah, the daughter of Absalom. And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, as David his father. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land, and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. And Maacah his mother, and even her he removed from being Maacah, because she made an idol in a grove. And Asa destroyed her idol, and burned it by the brook Kidron. But the high places were not removed. Nevertheless, Asa's heart was perfect with Yahuwah all his days. And he brought the things which his father had dedicated, and the things which he himself had dedicated to the house of Yahuwah, silver and gold and vessels. And there was war between Asa and Baasha, Malach of Yasharal, in their days. Now, when we look at Asa, Asa did a lot of things. He reformed and changed a lot of things. Therefore, this is why Yahuwah gave him the ability to destroy his enemies. His thoughts were committed, his heart to be made perfect with Yah, because he committed himself to get the faggots out the land, to tear the idols down, to even remove his mother from being Malkah or queen in this is what you're going to read in English, because she made an idol. He was rolling away the sin that was in the land. Therefore, Yah established his thoughts and made his heart perfect with him, because he was rolling iniquity away. When you roll iniquity away, let's look at Colossians chapter 2, about verse 8. When you roll iniquity away, this is when he can begin to establish your brain. If your brain is not established, if your actions are, this is why John the Baptist said, bring forth fruits meet for repentance. When you bring forth fruits meet for repentance, that means you've always resigned in your mind that you're going to bring forth actions to show that you have rolled away iniquity and sin. You know what I'm saying? You're showing forth that you have repented. And after we read this Colossians 2, we can go to 2 Corinthians 13. Once you showing forth actions that you have repented, he can establish your thoughts to do what he wants you to do. We're not even going to get this book. When you read Isaiah 66, he tell you, when I called, none did answer. And when I spake, they didn't hear. They choose to do evil before my eyes. So he say, I gave them over to their own delusions. He said, I gave them over to their own delusions. He said, turn ye at my reproof, and I'll pour my ruach upon you. He said, but they would have none of me. This is what he said in Proverbs chapter 1. They would have none of me. He said, therefore I gave them over. He said, because you did not like to retain Elohim in your knowledge, he gave you over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. This man said in another place, he said, just because they had a pleasure of unrighteousness, that he would send them a strong delusion that they should believe a lie, because they have pleasure in ungodliness. So because you don't want to roll away the reproach, you don't want to roll away sin, then he establishes your thoughts to stay in sin. But when you establish your thoughts to roll away, or your works to roll away sin and to show forth true repentance, then therefore he establishes your thoughts to stay rooted in his word. And that can only come down to the individual. No one else can do that for you. Because I can't be responsible for what none of you do. I can only be responsible for what I do. I can't make you stop sinning. I can't make you do right. Only you can make yourself do right. And only you can make yourself stop sinning. And it's because that is what you want to do. And your actions will be consistent with that. Whether someone is watching or whether someone is not watching. You're going to do that because that is what you're committed to. If you're committed to doing righteous acts, then he will allow your mind to think upon doing righteous things. If you're committed on doing ungodly things, then he will commit your mind to doing ungodly things. And there's nothing that anyone can do to change that other than you. Colossians chapter 2. Let me see what verse I want. I said 8. We'll take 5. He said, for though I be absent in the flesh, yet I am with you in Ruach, joying and beholding your order and steadfastness of your faith in Mashiach. As you have therefore received Yahushua HaMashiach the Master, so walk ye in him. So now, if you receive the word, then you need to walk in it because you have rolled away the iniquity. Walk in it. If you've heard, remember, faith come by hearing and hearing come by the word. This is what I told her, brother. We done went over this in the past. Your ancestors got the faith and came up out of Egypt, and then they got the law. So they received the faith, and then they got the instructions to walk in it. Your master said that he is the way, the truth, and the life. He's the way to the highest that covers sins. He's the Amat, and he's the life. You got the faith, you got the way, and this is what gets you life. You learn of Yahusha, and then you get the law to learn how to work, to walk correctly. What we've been doing is we've been getting it backwards. You've been getting the law and thinking that's got you justified, and then when the testimony of Mashiach come, not talking about any of y'all, it confuses the people, and they can't mix the two. They can't mesh the two. It get them jammed up. When you both have got Mashiach first, and then the law, then it makes the law easier to do. Because you got your foundation set. A lot of times our foundation is built on things weak, and then therefore this is how things happen. Say, as you therefore have received Yahushua Mashiach the Master, so walk ye in him, rooted and built up in him, established in the faith, as you have been taught, abounding therein with thanksgiving. Says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Mashiach. For in him dwell all the fullness of the Elohim head bodily, and you are complete in him, which is the head of all principality and power, and whom also you are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, and putting off the body of sins of the flesh by the circumcision of Mashiach. Buried with him in immersion, wherein also you are risen with him through the faith of the operation of Elohim, who have raised him from the dead, and you being dead in your sins in the uncircumcision of your flesh, have he quickened together with him and forgiven you all your trespasses. So the only way, remember Proverbs 28, and let's get that 1 John chapter 1. Let's get that 1 John chapter 1. Let's just do that. 1 John chapter 1 and verse 7. The key component of what all has to be understood is rolling away the body of sin. You roll away the body of sin, or roll away the actions of sins, and then this will allow you to establish yourself to do as you ought to do. This was what's going to get your thoughts lined up. But if you don't do so, then you're going to get yourself in trouble. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to get ourselves to have a thought process of serving Yah. You know what I'm saying? When you get your actions along with that, I should say, when you get your actions along with that, then it's easier to serve Yah because He will give you the mind to do so. If you don't commit your actions to doing it, then He's going to give you the mind to be like Saul and to be stubborn and to be an idolater. This is what we're trying to avoid. It's just as simple as doing it from the heart. Not because you're scared to go to hell, not because you're trying to impress other people, not because you're trying to show people that you're basically a sanctimonious douchebag, but because this is what you want to do from the heart. Do you know what I'm saying? This is your desire. If that is the case, then He will establish your thoughts because you're doing it from a pure heart. You have to be doing this stuff from a pure heart, that this is what is your desire to do. A lot of people, this is not what their desire is to do, and it shows over time. You know, I've told y'all this line numerous times. I tell it to you again. It's just like what Jay told Nas. It's only so long that fake thugs can pretend. You can only play a role for so long before your mask falls off and people realize that this is not what you're about. Because time proves all things. You know what I'm saying? Time is going to prove out what side of the ledger that you're on. 1 John chapter 1 verse 6. Hello. Hello. If we say that we have fellowship with Him and walk in darkness, we lie and do not the truth. But if we walk in the light as He is in the light, we have fellowship one with another, and the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, His Son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say that we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Remember, this is the Proverbs. He that covereth his sins won't prosper. He that confess and forsake shall have mercy. Because when you're looking at the confession and the forsaking is the rolling away or the rejection of the action. The rejection of the action will cause your thoughts to be established. You understand, son? No people came up out of Mizraim. That's all they knew. He circumcised them again the second time to roll away the dishonor of Mizraim off of them. Now you no longer walk, as I should say, as these uncircumcised heathens. Because you didn't know your Elohim. You got to realize something. When you were in your trespasses and sins, you did not know Elohim. You didn't know Him. So then you coming into the Mashiach and you getting immersed into His death, which is the circumcision with our hands. He has rolled away that reproach off of you. Now you know your Elohim, because you shouldn't be getting immersed unless you believe. See, they had heard a word preached before they went through the Red Sea and got immersed. They had them sat back and sacrificed that lamb and put the blood on the doorpost as a similitude of Mashiach being preached unto them, that He would perish for their sins. Therefore, when they come through that Red Sea, that sin had been washed off of them. They had been purged, or that body of sin should have been removed. But it had not. That's why when they got the law, they stumbled, because they didn't believe in the first place. That's why we have a lot of people that getting sitting back and they put this man to an open shame, because they hearing of him, but they not believing. That's why you got so many bruised. Law. The law is our heritage. The law is our heritage. The law is not your heritage. Your heritage is the covenant. The law is not pertaining to the covenant is not pertaining to the law. It's pertaining to the promises that He made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, we uphold the law. Look at Romans chapter 3. Don't think and say, yeah, we uphold the law, but we uphold them promises even more. He didn't give Abraham a law. He made promises unto him. That a heritage is your inheritance. You didn't inherit a law. He didn't promise Abraham no law. You're going to inherit a law. The law was from since the world began. So that wasn't the promise of the inheritance. That's retarded. Some people think that this man did all that stuff he did in Egypt just to give you some law, statutes, and commandments, which He gave to Adam from the time He made him. Romans chapter 3, right? About verse 27. Wherefore is boasting then? It is excluded. By what Torah of works? Nay, but by the Torah of faith. See, you can't. See, there was nobody coming out of Mizraim could boast and say we delivered ourselves. Moses couldn't say I delivered you from the Egyptians. He couldn't open his mouth and say that. Can't none, that's what the law gets. That's what you see from a lot of our people. They boast because it's excluded through the Torah of faith or the instruction of faith, which is why we read that Deuteronomy 32. These are children who have no faith. So therefore, you're trying to boast in the law, and you wonder why you can't keep it in its totality and in perfection, because you're not relying on YAH, and that's the problem. He said, therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by Torah without the deeds of the law, as Abraham was. You know what I'm saying? As your ancestors were coming up out of Egypt. Is he the Elohim of the Yahudim only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one Elohim who shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith. Do we then make void the Torah through faith? Elohim forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Absolutely not. We don't make the law absent because we believe. But we understand because we believe, that's what allows us to be able to uphold and have that power. That's what allowed Asa to have power, because he trusted in Elohim. We also know that that's what got him in trouble in the end, because he tried to rely on man versus relying on Elohim. But I'm going to stop right here because it's like 8:51. Y'all willing though, we'll continue on with it on the Shabbat, because I'm not finna try to jam that, and it's only 8 minutes, because 9 o'clock is the stopping point. So hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We stop right there.